Hello and welcome to another lecture on basic macroeconomics. Today our topic is the structure of an economy, and in this we will try to understand what structure of an economy means and why it is important for us as students of economics to study structure of an economy. So when we study a plant, what we do is that we study its different parts or components. And once we are familiar with different parts or components, we are able to form an informed opinion, right opinion about the plant itself. Similarly, when we study an animal, we study its different organs or organ systems. Once we are conversant with the organs or organ systems, we are in a position to form right opinion about the animal itself. Similarly, when we have to study an economy, what we do is that we divide the entire economy into different components, into different parts, and these parts or these components of an economy are called in economics as sectors. So we have different sectors of an economy. An economy is divided into different sectors, and once we are familiar, we are conversant with the functioning or with the internal structure of each sector of an economy, we are in a position to form an opinion about the functioning of the overall economy. So the structure of an economy is actually related with the sectoral distribution of an economy into different sectors or components or parts. So in the traditional method for us, while we divide an economy into different sectors, is to divide the economy into three sectors. So this is the traditional classification, and the three sectors into which we divide an economy are the primary sector, the secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. The primary sector is related with agriculture or natural resources. The secondary sector is related with manufacturing, and the tertiary sector is related with services. So all kinds of services are included in the tertiary sector, all kinds of manufacturing are incorporated in the secondary sector, and all kinds of economic activities taking place in the primary sector, or in case of natural resources or raw material, etc., they are incorporated in the primary sector. So let's take a look on the major subsectors of these sectors. So primary sector, agriculture sector, it has some of its major subsectors are on your screen. It is farming, animal husbandry, horticulture, fishery, forestry, etc. These are some of the major subsectors of the primary sector, and you can see that all of them are actually related with natural resources. Then we move to the secondary sector, which is also called as industrial sector or manufacturing sector, and in this sector we have two major subsectors which are construction and manufacturing. Then in the tertiary sector, the services sector, all kinds of services are included, and some of the major subsectors in this case are the communication, then we have transport, we have banking and insurance, etc. So this gives us a glimpse of how we divide an economy in the traditional way in three sectors: primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. Now, over the period of time, this is a traditional classification. Over the period of time, the nature of working of an economy has changed. Science and technology has contributed enormously over last 4 or 5 decades. Therefore, some things have become more important, others have become comparatively less important. So the classification has also been altered, despite the fact we are using traditional classification continuously, but some classification is now incorporate more sectors than what was done in the traditional classification of an economy into three sectors. So in modern classification, we have sometimes we use 4 sectors, sometimes we use 5 sectors. But one rule that you have to keep in mind while making more than 3 sectors is that actually what we are doing is that we are dividing the third sector, the tertiary sector. If we have to go for 4 sector classification, then we divide the third sector into 2 sectors. So we have earlier 3 sectors and now 1 for the sector, so it becomes 4 sector classification, or we divide the third sector into 3 classes, 3 sectors. Okay, so when the third sector, turners, we change it into three sectors now. So we have earlier two and new three, then we have five sector classification. So over here I have used the five sector classification, and I will highlight some of the important subsectors in the fourth sector and the fifth sector. Keeping the tertiary sector, the traditional services are now, I'm keeping them in the tertiary sector, communication, transport, banking and insurance, etc. And bringing in some new sectors, or sectors which were not earlier as important as they are now in the fourth and the fifth sector. Now first you need to keep in mind that the fourth sector is called as quaternary sector. It is called as quaternary sector of the economy, and the fifth sector is called as the quinary sector of the economy. So the quaternary sector of the economy, major subsectors include some of the important components are knowledge, information technology, then consultation, then education, financial planning, so on and so forth. So what we call as knowledge economy, it is actually what the quaternary sector is all about. So knowledge economy becomes very important in modern times. Therefore, a new sector has been created to incorporate it. Now the fifth sector is quinary sector. Now it includes the highest level of decision making that takes place in a society. Those vary institutions. It includes governments, it includes science and universities, it includes NGOs, non-profit organizations, non-governmental organizations, it includes healthcare, it includes culture, and it even includes the media. So all these sectors have been incorporated in the fifth sector, which we call as quinary sector of an economy. So the way we have been classifying different sectors of an economy has changed over the period of time. Despite the fact we are still using the three sector classification is quite dominant even now. Now let us take a look at different subsectors of the three sectors of an economy. Traditionally we divide it into from an Indian context. So we are here having actually 13 sector classification of an economy. That you see in white color, 13 sector classification of the economy. But what I have done is that I have divided these 13 sectors into three sectors and made them subsectors of these three sectors. So we have agriculture and allied activity. This is one sector. Then we have forestry and logging, we have fishery, we have mining and quarrying. Now these are four sectors, but I have incorporated them as four subsectors of the primary sector because all of them are related with natural resources, with agriculture. Now the secondary sector, there are three further sectors. Now we have manufacturing, construction, electricity, gas and water supply. These are three sectors, further three sectors, and I have made them subsectors of the secondary sector because these are incorporated in the secondary sector, which we call as industrial sector or manufacturing sector as well. Then we have 4 and 3, 7. Then we have 6 further sectors which include trade, hotels, restaurant. It is one. Transport, storage and communication, this is one. Banking and insurance, this is one more. Real estate, ownership of dwelling and business services, this is one more. And public administration and defense, this is one more. And then we have others. Okay, these are further 6 sectors. Now these 6 sectors can be incorporated in the tertiary sector, the services sector. So we have these are in the Indian context, these are the subsectors of the three fundamental, the traditional sectors of an economy. Now let us move to the structure of an economy. What we do in the structure of an economy. Now what we do in the structure of an economy is we try to understand how much is contributed by 3 basic sectors of an economy: primary, secondary and tertiary, in terms of output and in terms of employment. Now depending upon their contribution, depending upon their growth, performance, the overall performance of an economy is assessed. It is gauged on the basis of these. So for example, we have primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. Then we have to see what is the output contribution on part of the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. We can take a percentage view of that. Then employment, how much percentage of the employment is contributed by the primary sector, how much by the secondary, and how much by the tertiary sector. Now we take an example over here. And the primary sector contributes 50% of the output, then 25% of the output is contributed by the secondary sector, and 25% of the output is contributed by the tertiary sector. Now in case of employment, the employment 60% employment is provided by primary sector, 20% by secondary, and then 20% by tertiary sector. Now why this is important? This is important because once you take a real world example, for example you take example of India and see what is the contribution on part of the primary sector, secondary and tertiary sector in terms of the parameters of output and employment, and compare that with America, with France, with Germany, with China, with Bangladesh, for example, then you have an understanding of how where our economy stands, where the Indian economy stands, and how much it is similar to American economy or different than American economy. And if you, for example, take a pair of German economy and then American economy, and take a sectoral contribution of employment and output, you will come to understand how much similar these two economies are. And then you take one more pair, India and Germany, and then see how much dissimilar these two economies are. And this is very helpful in the assessment, in the performance assessment of an economy, and in understanding how economies transform over the period of time. Our next lecture is about structural transformation, which is a very, very important topic for us to understand as students of macroeconomics, because it guides us, it tells us that how an economy changes over the period of time when it is moving from pre-modern to a modern economy, when it is moving from a backward to an advanced economy. How does the structure shift over the period of time? And for the shifting of that very structure, where growth has to take place, how much growth should be there in the, for example, industrial sector, in the tertiary sector, and the primary sector as well. So it is significantly helpful in making a comparison and assessment of the performance of different economies. I hope that you have understood this very subject, the structure of an economy, how it is sectors, how we divide an economy into different sectors, and then why this structure is significant for us as students of economics, because it helps us in making an assessment of the performance of an economy and helping us to compare the economies over the period of time and at a particular time with each other. I hope that you have understood all these things quite nicely. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel on Nest Economics. Thank you very much.